Hello guys, and welcome to Smart Photo Reviews channel. As promised, we are continuing with our review of the Sony RX100 VII camera. In today's part, we're gonna see some basic configurations, and we're gonna go through all the menus of the camera to get to know what you can do with it and how you can set up your camera for everyday use. Stay with us. Okay, let's start with the main settings and menu functions. First of all, let's turn the camera on. When you turn the camera on, the lens extends like this. You have zoom lever here, like this. Okay, and you change the shooting modes here. Currently, it's on aperture priority. Depending on the shooting mode you select, you can choose or change different options in the menu settings. When you're in aperture mode, you use this main back dial for controlling aperture. When you go to manual mode, you use this dial for controlling shutter speed, and if you want to control aperture, you have to press down, and then you're controlling aperture. So with a press down. Now, let's switch back to aperture priority, and let's say something about these quick setups. First of all, you have display here, where you change the information you see on your LCD screen, like this. Okay. Now, on the right, you have flash settings. Okay. On the left, you have shooting dry mode settings from single to bursts, medium, high burst, timers and everything. I leave it on medium burst. Okay, on the downside, you have exposure compensation, which is not available when you go into manual mode on the camera, because then you switch to changing aperture or shutter speed on this down button. Okay. Then let's go to this FN button, which is function button. It's a shortcut for entering quick menus, and it's a great thing. You have the most important settings here, like dry mode, autofocus selection, focus area selection, exposure compensation, ISO selection, metering mode selection, flash mode selection, flash compensation even, white balance selection, creative picture style selection, where you can select different picture profiles and picture filters, and file format, whether you want to record in RAW plus JPEG, or only JPEG. I leave it always only at RAW. This is a button for displaying or for playing your images and recordings. Okay, and this is button for deleting images or videos. Okay, let's go to the main menu. We have a lot of settings because this is high-end compact camera, and the menu system is similar to other Sony mirrorless cameras, even the flagship cameras like A9 or something like that. So in this first menu, you set different parameters for pictures, for images, and you have 14 sub-menus, as you can see here. First of all, you have 5 format. I already showed you it's in RAW. JPEG quality, it's in fine. You can set extra fine if you use JPEG. I'm not using it, so it's fine for me. JPEG image size, I leave it to the maximum of 20 megapixels. I don't know why would you use 10 or 5 megapixels. maybe just because you want to spare some space on the memory card or something, but why not leave it on maximum size. Aspect ratio, it's 3:2, 4:3, 16:9 standard widescreen, or 1:1 if you want to shoot some pictures that are square that can go directly to Instagram. Okay, panorama settings are not available because they are available only when you're in panorama mode. Okay, let's go to the submenu 2. You have some settings for noise reduction, long exposure noise reduction, and high ISO noise reduction that are not available because they are available only when you set Jpeg as a recording file format. And here is color space. I leave it always to sRGB. You can change it to Adobe RGB if it suits you better. Okay, let's go to submenu 3. You have here some shooting mode, drive mode selections. Drive mode is on continuous shooting. I keep it there. You can set it to single shooting if it suits you better. Single burst self-timer, whether you want to have a single burst self-timer when you're shooting single images 3 times. These are little bursts of 3 images in sequence. Then you have bracket settings, where you can set some different bracket settings. If you use bracketing at all, I almost never use it. And interval shooting function for shooting time-lapse photography. Here you can set different options, how many shots, interval between shots, and everything you need for good time-lapse photography. Let's go to submenu 4. It's not available currently, but you can record some settings of the camera that you use most frequently and call it from memory when you want to use them. You have submenu 5 about autofocus settings. You have focus mode, which is continuous autofocus currently. Focus area, you have different areas: wide, zone, center, flexible spot, medium, flexible spot, small, expanded, flexible spot, etc. You can set whichever you like. I keep it to wide because most of the time the camera does a great job of finding where I should focus, especially if I use continuous focus as it is now. So if I really need to change it, I do it from this quick menu here on the left, and I change it to single or zone or something like that. Focus area limit. You can choose what options of autofocus modes you need, and you can uncheck the ones you rarely use. This is a menu that chooses whether you want it to connect autofocus point and autofocus area with changing of the orientation of the camera. So when you change the orientation and go to portrait instead of landscape, the spot you have, the point you have chosen for autofocusing will switch to the corresponding point. So if you want only spot to switch, you can leave it only on autofocus point. But if you want also the area that you selected to switch automatically, then you put this menu setting, autofocus point plus autofocus area. Autofocus Illuminator, it's a little light that shines when the conditions are low, considering light, and you have to have some assist during focus. You choose to switch it on auto, on or off. Face and eye detection settings. These are pretty important settings because Sony cameras have excellent face and eye autofocus priority. So you choose whether to use it or not. You choose is it human or animal. They have also detection for face and eye of animals. I didn't try it, really I didn't. I photographed my cat, but I didn't use that option. I just focused on the eye. So here you choose right of or left eye priority, it's on auto, so the camera chooses the closest eye to the camera, which is the best option, of course. This is where you choose whether the frame of face or eye detection autofocus system will be displayed or not. Also, will the frame of the animal eye, when it is caught with autofocus, will be displayed or not. Okay, let's go back and go to submenu 6. You have different autofocus selections here, like pre-autofocus. It's while you're not shooting but having camera in standby mode like this, will it focus on something in front of you or will it not focus? I keep it, of course, to focus because I want to see clear and focused picture on my LCD or viewfinder. If you want to save some battery life, you can switch it to off, but it's not that much important really. Autofocus area registration, you can register any of the focus areas that you use most frequently and call them if you need them. Here you can delete the registered autofocus area. Focus frame color can be white or red, and autofocus area auto clear is the option where if you in single shoot mode and you chose some area for focusing and you took a picture, after taking that picture the autofocus area will be auto cleared and you have to select it again. I keep it on off because if I choose some zone, I want it to be available frequently and every next time I shoot until I decide to choose the next one or different one. Display continuous autofocus area. You choose whether you want autofocus area to be displayed during continuous autofocus. I choose it to be on because I like to see all the time where is my autofocus reacting or where is it catching the subject. So I always keep it on. 7th submenu, face detection area, will you be using it or not? And circulation of focus point, this might be important for you. This option decides if you check different autofocus points and you go to the end and then you click right again. If it's circulate, then the focus point will switch to the left and continue the same direction you choose with your directional dial. And if it's not on circulate, then when you go to the end, you cannot skip to the front like that. You have to go all the way back. So it's better option to keep it on circulate. The 8th submenu is about exposure compensation. I already showed you how it's done by this quick menu. ISO settings, I keep them on auto settings, but I limit auto settings, as you can see, from 64 to 3200, because even 3200 is a bit too much for this camera, but with modern softwares and applications you can clear that noise very, very well. Metering mode is always on multi for me. You can choose center, spot, entire screen, averaging or highlight, priority, etc. Face priority in multimetering. So will the faces be connecting to multimetering when you are in multimetering mode? Yes, of course, because faces are always important. If you have a face in your frame, then it's obvious that you're gonna record that face. So it's best that light metering does it well depending on the face. Spot metering point. This is the option that many of the modern cameras from Canon, I must say, are missing. You can link spot metering to any point, autofocus point of your choice, or leave it to center. Of course, it's better to link it with a point, because that way you focus on that point, immediately the light is metered and you can take a picture. About auto exposure lock with shutter. So you press shutter halfway down and you lock the exposure. It's mostly done like that. In some situations you don't want it, but you can leave it on and override it with some manual settings afterwards. Ninth menu, exposure standard adjust. That is for some of the people beginning with a bit serious cameras that are not sure how they're gonna set the exposure, so the camera can adjust your exposure to make it proper by its decision, but I don't like it, of course. I like to adjust my exposures myself. The 10th submenu are different flash settings, flash mode, flash compensation, and red eye reduction. I don't use flash, so I don't really need these ones. 11th submenu, color, white balance, and image processing. White balance, you have some different options: auto white balance, daylight, shade, cloudy, incandescent, fluorescent, warm fluorescent, cool fluorescent, day white, and different options. You will check them out yourself. But auto white balance does a very well job, so I keep it most of the time on auto. Maybe for videos I do custom white balance because it's harder to adjust in software, but if you shoot RAW, then you can adjust white balance afterwards, so it's not a big deal really. Priority set in auto white balance standard, leave it there. Dynamic range optimizer, it can be really important options, because in high contrast scenes you have to get the most of dynamic range you can from a camera, so of course leave it on and leave auto HDR on. Creative style, it depends on it influences only JPEG images and the representation of the image you took on your screen, so you can leave it on standard or make it vivid for some landscapes or neutral for some other situations, etc., etc. Picture profile, you can set picture profiles the way you want it. You can adjust colors, gamma output and everything, and make some picture profiles that of course only affect JPEG images if you shoot them. Then let's go to the 12th submenu. Here you have some options of soft skin effect, which is not available right now because we are in a RAW file format. In JPEG it can be applied for portraits if you want a camera automatically make some adjustment to the skin and make it look softer. It's not bad option, but you can do it in post-production easily with RAW files, of course. This is the option where you choose whether you want a shutter to lock auto white balance or not. I switched it to off because it's very rarely that white balance is changed when you do a little bit of frame changing after pressing the shutter release button halfway down. Okay, let's go to the 13th submenu. These are some options of focus assist. This is mainly for manual focus. You will rarely use it, but there are some options with focus magnifying time, how much magnified will be the initial focus, then manual focus assist, and settings of peaking, where you can set to display peaking or not, display the level of peaking, high, medium or low, and peaking color, white, blue, yellow and red, which one you prefer the most. Okay, and the last submenu here is shooting assist. Face registration, sorry. Face registration is if you shoot some faces that appear a lot in your images, like your family. You can register the faces here, and then they are priority for face autofocus and eye autofocus, and you can set that priority on or off. Smart shutter is a very stupid option for me. It makes camera automatically fire when it detects people smiling on the frame. So better leave it off, believe me. Self-portrait timer is for when you are taking self-portraits, you can set shutter to go automatically on self-timer mode, so you can set yourself the way you want, and then the camera will fire. That's about the first big menu. Okay, let's continue with the second big menu. It's for movie adjustments, movie recordings. You have 10 different submenus here. First, we have movie 1, where you can set exposure mode, which is not available right now. File format we set to the highest, it's 4K. Recording settings 24 or 25 frames, and this is 60 is bitrate. You can set it to even higher quality of 100 if you'd like. This is high frame rate settings. In fact, it's slow motion settings. When you go in, you have different settings of 50 frames, frame rate of 250, 500 or 1000 frames per second. So you can have really great fun with 1000 frames per second, but you should be aware that the recording quality drops significantly when you change the frame rate higher. So 250 frames per second is the best option for you. Now let's go to priority settings. It's whether the quality of the video recording should be priority or shoot time would be priority. It's best set to quality priority, and recorder timing. So start trigger, end trigger, or end trigger half. These are the options. So let's go back. Quality in dual recording is extra fine. Set to extra fine. You have fine and standard if you want to save some space on the memory card, or you don't need extra fine recordings. And now let's go to the submenu 2. Here you have image size. Of course, set it to maximum. It's 17 megapixels. It was 20 megapixels for picture, as I remember, but it's here 17 because of the cropping. So you get the full 4K output of the recording, which is excellent. Unlike some other brands and cameras, which don't give you the full 4K recording, this camera does. So it's a serious tool even for video and for photo. Proxy recording is set to off. Autofocus drive speed is set to normal, because if you set it too fast, then when object in a video recording changes its position, the focus will try to catch it very swiftly, and you'll get that focus changes that are not smooth. So it's best left on normal. Autofocus tracking sensitivity is left to standard, because if you set it to responsive, then tracking sensitivity will also be much more responsive and will do faster changes. So you won't get as smooth as you could. Auto slow shutter is left to on, of course. Let the camera decide should it be turned on or off. The third submenu is initial focus magnifying is set to 1. Will you record the sound or not? Then audio level display, will it be displayed on the screen or not? With noise reduction, it's self-explanatory. Yes, of course, I choose to turn it on when I need it, because camera will decide whether should it use it or not. And steady shot, it's practically image stabilization. Will it be on or off? Of course, I left it on active. You can leave it on standard or off. I left it on active. I think it's the best mode. So fourth submenu. If you're working with several smaller video recordings and you want markers to be input on your recording, you can input your markers wherever you want, and then you will know where you want to cut or paste your videos and everything you do in post-production. The fifth menu, you have to choose the shutter type. Auto, mechanical or electronic shutter. Yeah, I leave it to auto because it's best that camera decides whether it needs something different or not regarding the situations with your parameter settings like aperture and shutter speed. Release without card, I leave it to enable. It's whether the camera will enable releasing the shutter without the memory card or just with memory card inserted. Steady shot, I leave it always on. Zoom, you have different options for zooming. If you ever use zooming during your video shooting, will it go normal or fast? I choose to leave it on normal. And zoom functions on ring, I leave to I choose to leave on standard. Okay, let's go to 7th submenu. You have display button here. You choose which information you want to see on your LCD screen and in your Finder. This option where you choose whether you want Finder and monitor to be switched automatically, or you choose it to be manually. I always leave it automatically because I rarely use this viewfinder, only if conditions are too bright. So with bright lights, it's better to use viewfinder because you see better. Zebra settings is for exposure in your video recordings. You can set it on or off, and you can set how much of zebra level you want to be displayed. Grid line, you can set it for photography and for videography too. I choose it to off because I want to see the whole screen. You can set it to rule of thirds, perhaps it's a nice option if you want to make your compositions look better. Exposure setting guide, it's for people that want a camera to adjust their exposures and guide them to the best possible exposure. I don't need it. Live view display, you choose here will live view display effect setting or effect settings or not. Then we go to the 8th submenu. We have here shooting start display, which is set off, shooting timing display. You have different types of it, and auto review, which is set to 2 seconds. In a 9th submenu, you have different customization options for custom keys. You can set different controls to custom keys, which is excellent and on professional level, really. Then you have function menu settings. You can choose what options do you want it in this very, very finely made and very good function menu that has all the options you might need. My dial settings, you can choose what this dial does for you, and AV, TV, rotate, you can choose how this dial works when choosing aperture or shutter speed normally or in reverse mode, whether you got used to Nikon or Canon cameras which had that reversely set up. in 10th and last menu of this video menu, we have some options that you can set for touch focus, whether you like touch focus to be used to operate some functions, because some functions cannot be used with touch focus. Only a selected number of functions can be used with touch focus. You will see it later in some other parts of our test. Movie button. Will you be able to use it always in all modes or just in movie mode? It's good to use it always, because sometimes in the middle of shooting pictures you want to shoot some movies, so it's good to be available. Will lock. Will this lock when you go to movie mode or not? So you don't accidentally switch some parameters. I choose it to unlock because it's not so responsive and it cannot be really accidentally changed so easily. Here you can choose whether you will have audio signals when you have some options changed and when you start recording or finish it, or you don't want them to be heard. Okay, this is about this big second menu. Okay, this menu is self-explanatory. You have some networking options. You can connect you can connect your camera and smartphone via Wi-Fi. You can transfer your images via Wi-Fi. You can go to airplane mode to switch everything off. You have here Wi-Fi settings and everything. You have on the submenu 2 Bluetooth settings, location info link settings. You can add a device name also, and you can reset all the settings. So let's go to the other playback menu. You can protect your images, rotate them, delete them, attach rating to them, set with which button a rating is attached. Here is with custom key. Specify printing options. In submenu 2 of playback, you have beauty effect that you can apply to all your images. You have options for enlarging images. It's set to enlarge images to 100%. So if I go to some of my images and then click once zoom button, the image is enlarged like this on 100%. Also, I can do it differently. I can choose the image and then click it twice, and it's enlarged on 100% too. Then click it twice, tap it twice again, and it's back. The one problem with this touch screen control is that you cannot swipe through your images like that. You can only double tap, zoom to 100, and double tap to switch it back. Okay, let's go. This option lets you choose where you want initial position of the zooming to be. It's always best to set it on focus position. So when I go to my images like that, like this, of course, and when I click zoom, it automatically magnifies the place where I focus. So I can check the focus if it's on the eye or not. So it's the best option. Motion interval adjustments. It's self-explanatory. You can set intervals when you're in motion shooting. Okay, then submenu 3. You have some continuous playback for interval timer shooting, playback speed for interval timer shootings, slideshow for images. I said shooting here, not for shooting, but for playbacking images or videos. Slideshow. If you want to see your images in slideshow, I don't know why would you do it on such a small screen, but maybe sometimes you like to do it. View mode. What of the parameters and options will you see when you change your display modes? Then image indexing. Would you like to display images shot in bursts like as group or not? I'll show you what this means. Because I always keep the burst on. Here you can see one image and several gray frames behind it. So it means that it's grouped. If I want to see different images in the group, I push this OK button and then see other two images. You can set it off on or on here. For me, it seems like interesting option, so I left it to on. Display rotation, will the images display automatically when you switch to portrait orientation or landscape orientation? It's best to leave it on. Let's go to the next menu, is setup. Monitor brightness, manual. You can set it whether you like it, which way you like it, depending on the lighting conditions. Viewfinder brightness is set to auto. Viewfinder color temperature, you can set some different options, warmer or cooler. Gamma display assist, you can set it to on or off. Volume settings, when playing back your recordings. And tile menu, nothing important here. Let's go to the submenu 2. Mode dial guide, will it be on or off? Will you have to confirm that you want to delete something or not? Display quality of the recordings you made. Auto monitor off while you're displaying images. It says does not turn off, but the camera goes to power save mode in 2 minutes, but the LCD screen doesn't turn off. That's how I set it up. You can set it to turn off in 2, 5 or 10 seconds. It was annoying to me. I choose the image and then do nothing, and after 2 seconds I lose that image from the screen. So I turned it to off. Power save start time after 2 minutes, function for viewfinder close. So when you use your viewfinder, you can choose to power off the camera when you turn the viewfinder, when you push the viewfinder down. Viewfinder down. So I left it to off because I don't want to turn the camera off every time I push the viewfinder down. Let's go to the third menu, auto power off temperature. This is important option and it's new. It determines whether you like your camera to record longer 4K videos and go very hot after some time, or you can leave it to standard and let the camera decide is it hot enough or not, and you compromise your recording, because camera can switch itself off if it thinks it's too hot. So leave it to high. It won't affect, so you have to confirm it. It won't affect the camera that much. Yes, it will be hot, and you can you can do some cooking on it if necessary, but it won't turn that hot to be compromised in any way. So you just can record longer videos, which is always a plus. NTSC or PAL selector. So for America you choose NTSC, for Europe you choose PAL or PAL. Touch operation, will it be on or off? So I leave it on because on some settings or operations I want to use my touch screen. Touch panel pad. Will it be touch panel plus pad or touch panel only or touch pad only? You choose whatever you want. Touchpad settings. We have some different settings here for touchpad, but as I told you already, you have very limited touch panel controls, so you won't really need these settings. Let's go to the submenu 4. We have some output settings for HDMI, USB power supply, and everything is not that important. Then you have PC remote settings, language, you set the way you prefer, date, time setups, area settings, copyright info for your messages, and format of the memory card. On submenu 6, you have file folder settings, file settings, recover image if the file folder is lost, temporarily. Then display media info, which of the info you want to be displayed, and a version of the firmware. You can update it when the new one is around. 7th menu is just for resetting all the settings. And the last one is My Menu, where you can put some menu settings that you use most often. Most oftenly I just edit format for formatting my memory card, because it is the settings I use most frequently. And you have some My Menu settings where you can add items to My Menu, and the My Menu is displayed here. So that's about all the menu settings. This was very detailed tutorial of the menu settings. I hope that this tutorial will give you some information about how you can set up this camera, and whether you have some options in this camera or not if you're planning to buy it. Until next time, bye bye, please subscribe and like as always. See you soon.